What's up?
Alex, how are you, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to have you join me.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Um, well, we might as well start. We actually have some people watching, so this is great. Um, so this is Trees Talk, and this is actually the first remote interview that or conversation that I've had. So, Alex, thank you for taking the bullet.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate it. Sometimes I don't really have necessarily a set format. In
Mhm.
this case, I'm inclined to introduce you a little bit, just in terms of background, if you're okay with that. Is that okay, Alex?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Um, Alex is an artist and comedian you're living in Cincinnati. That's correct, right?
Yeah, well, technically Northern Kentucky, but it's like right
Northern
across
Kentucky,
the
right?
river. Yes, right across the
No,
river from Cincinnati.
No, that's cool. So maybe I'll just explain a little bit how I sort of discovered your work because it's kind of interesting, a little bit roundabout to your comedy. Um, I just joined Instagram in November, and I think it was fairly early on that I don't know exactly how I came upon one of your posts
Hmm.
um, from a series of drawings that you are still in the process of making, I think, right? Of
Yes.
all 50 presidents playing the role of George Bush, hearing the news about 9/11 when he was at that elementary school in Florida, right? It's a pretty iconic video,
Yes.
and they're kind of done in and I don't mean this in any detrimental way, but they're sort of done in almost like a little kid sort of drawing style, kind of
Hmm.
colored, almost colored like with markers. But I will admit that I found them really strange and haunting and really quite beautiful. I mean, I actually would use that word, and I think I may have messaged you like kind of right away. I can't remember, but I just like, who are you, man, or something. Not in a confrontational way, but
Yeah.
and then Alex, just to give a little bit more background, has a well, your entire Instagram account is called Dumb Celeb Drawings, right?
Yes.
Maybe I'll let you explain what that is and how you started doing it. I mean, I've watched some videos of you on on news programs and interviews, but I think it's pretty interesting if you don't mind just starting with that.
Yeah. So it's called Dumb Drawings Autographed by Celebrities is like the full title of it. Basically, I'll do some kind of joke drawing or like a dumb drawing, like it has something to do with the celebrity, but not quite. Um,
Right.
and I'll mail it to them, write a letter asking if they'll sign it, and hopefully they send it back to me. I've gotten like 300, over 300 back so far.
Wow.
Um,
That's amazing. Maybe you should. Maybe I am curious to hear you tell the story of the very first one because I think it's really good. It's really
yeah,
interesting. If you don't mind.
yeah. This was like back in probably 2014, I think. Uh, I was just in my apartment. I think my friend and I were just hanging out. We had smoked a little weed and just drawing. And
Yeah.
I started drawing. There's this in Northern Kentucky, in Florence, Kentucky. There's this. It's like a local iconic water tower.
Right.
Uh, there's like a Wikipedia page about it and everything. I mean, it's well known around here.
Yeah.
Water tower, and on it says Florence, y'all.
Yeah.
So I was just drawing that, no particular reason. But when I was drawing it, I thought, it'd be really funny if Florence Henderson autographed this, the mom from the Brady Bunch. So I was like, how could
Yeah.
that happen? Like, the only way would be to mail it to her.
Right.
So I went online and I just, I found her fan mail address and wrote a letter, sent it out, just thinking like, there's no way I'm ever going to get this back.
Right. Of course.
But then a couple months later, it was in my mailbox and she had signed it. She had drawn a little heart on it. And I was like, this is really funny. I wonder how many of these I can get, how far I can go with it.
Right. Well, I mean, so the thing that's really so okay, obviously I'm an artist, and I consider you an artist, of course.
Mm-hmm.
though I know that that primarily the work I've seen of yours on YouTube is stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I watched all the YouTubes of yours I could find, and I really see, first of all, a very strong connection between your art practice and your comedy, actually.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe I'll just throw it out there, and you can tell me if you think, well, you can. I'll just be interested in your reaction.
Yeah.
First of all, your comedy seems very much like a thinking person's comedy as opposed to like a shtick. I don't know if that's true, but you know, the thing that's interesting about your drawings is partially the same thing to me. Just to talk about for me, that's interesting about your comedy, which is it's a little bit of a slow burn in terms of thinking,
Yeah.
but it's not dry. It's very actually witty, and there are a lot of levels of meaning to, like, I'm thinking about I just watched right before I came over here. Which one did I watch? The thing about Barack Obama.
Oh
It
yeah.
was the running joke about Barack Obama is going to take your guns, and it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of levels with that in terms of racism and false media stuff.
Hmm.
And so the thing about your drawings that I find also interesting is that they're pop culture-ish on the surface, but then they're kind of haunting. Like the Blockbuster Video drawing, which is one of my favorites. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. That's definitely
the
one of
fact
mine.
that they went out of business, because there's something kind of sad and nostalgic about all that to me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I just remember I kind of feel sad about not being able to go to Blockbuster and rent stuff. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's kind of
Yeah.
a certain part of my young 20s and 30s. And so I don't know. And then there's something nostalgic about the style of drawing that you use, but then it's kind of edgy and funny. And so, I mean, I think really I would consider you a unofficially trained conceptual artist, and your work is very layered. So I'm curious if you have any reactions to that characterization.
Um.
If I'm way off, or what you think.
I mean, that's definitely what I'm going for.
It
I
is
think,
what you're going for.
yeah,
Oh, really? Okay.
I think that description is definitely what I want to accomplish. That's what I would like to be described as.
Okay.
I don't know if everything I always do meets that expectation, but I definitely strive to, you know,
Yeah.
be that kind of performer and, comedian artist.
I mean, so I guess one thing I'm curious about, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but we do still seem to, I know that the barriers among disciplines are definitely breaking down, but I do
Yeah.
think that there's still, particularly in popular culture, a real tendency among a lot of audiences to, put somebody in a box, like to label you as a comedian or an artist. And you didn't go to art school, which I think is one of the reasons you're good, by the way. But, but, but I'm curious how you think about dealing with that, if that's a struggle for you, or if I don't know. It's just because, anyway, it's just an open question. I'm curious about your reaction to that.
Yeah. I mean, about like art school, like not.
Well, just about trying to create your own identity as an artist and comedian, and can you put them together, or do you feel the need to keep them apart in practical terms, or just really any of those things?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely. I don't want to keep them separate. I definitely.
You don't.
No. I like.
Yeah.
I like. How do I say it? I like doing comedy through a lot of different. Mediums and stuff. I mean, stand up is like probably the most popular form of comedy right now. But there's
Yeah.
so many other ways to do it. Like I just see myself as a comedian. I just think of even any kind of artwork is just like a joke, just in a different format for me at
Hmm.
least. Like I try to just take like joke writing and how to, put a joke together and just do it in a different way.
Yeah. What I mean, are you self-aware that you have a particular angle? I mean, I know it's hard to define yourself. I'm curious how you see yourself in terms of a comedian, though. Like, I mean, do you categorize yourself as a particular type of comedian or artist, or do you not even ask those questions in your mind?
No, I mean, I definitely have my influences and stuff, and I, try to be like certain people, I guess. But I really don't. I don't know, because I like, like if I do jokes on stage. Sometimes I like telling stories if something particularly funny happened in my
Hmm.
life. Then other times I like just, something you have to think about, a slow burn kind of thing, a more
Yeah.
conceptual thing like the Barack Obama's coming to take away your guns. I like doing that too. So it's just,
Right.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to just, for me at least, it's hard to just do one thing and just stick with that one type of comedy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right. That's interesting. Um, I mean, so I am also curious to hear about your drawing practice, how it started. I mean, we had a conversation about I would love to see your work in a gallery museum space. I think, for example, a show of all 50 of those presidents it would just be a really, yeah, this is going to sound strange, but it's not stylistically that it reminds me, but it kind of reminds me of some of Andy Warhol's work, in the sense that it's about celebrity, but it's very haunting. It's
right.
not. I mean, I don't even. When Warhol talks about there's nothing besides what you see, he's always talking about he's all surface. I
Yeah.
don't buy it. I mean, maybe he believed that, so I'm not questioning his sincerity,
Right.
but I do think that my mind about Andy Warhol was changed when I went and saw his huge retrospective in LA years and years ago. Because I always thought, whatever, this guy is just, I kind of, I won't say I wrote him off, but I just thought he's what he says he is. But I
Right.
found his work truly haunting. Like, it really got to me emotionally in a weird way. Like, I was really surprised. And your president drawings affect me in a somewhat similar way, which may sound weird to you. I mean, does that sound strange to you? If that
I mean,
reaction?
that's a compliment to me. I take that as a compliment. I mean, that would be definitely my goal with that is I'd love to have an exhibit or a show of all of them. I think
Yeah.
that'd be,
So I guess I'm a little bit curious how you view that goal. Like, do you feel that the fact that you didn't have insider art training, is it daunting to you? Do you care? Or do you just like, fuck it, man, I'm just going to go for it anyway? Or,
at this point, yeah, I'm just going for it. I realize that, just based on my experience with comedy, a lot of it has to do like just getting booked in shows and stuff. It is really,
Mhm.
who you know and being friends with people and networking and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think I realized, probably, getting a show like that, you have to have some kind of contacts and people have to know you.
Yeah. But
So I think
you don't really care. It's not even an issue for you in your mind whether you're an insider. And I mean, the art world can be very insular, I think. I mean, I don't know how much contact I mean, I'm curious how much contact you've had with people who are, let's say, diehard, art world people. I mean, it sounds like you've done some of that.
yeah, I mean, I did one show here,
You did.
at the end of 2019.
Uh-huh.
And that was like my first experience with that, but it never, I really just don't have I've not really met anybody or like talked with anybody that besides you. You're like the first person that I think.
I'll lead you down the wrong path every time, Alex. No, hopefully not. Well, I guess the thing, maybe that's what's so fresh. Well, I don't know. I wonder if that's part of what's so fresh about your work, because it feels pure to me in this, not in a kind of weird Puritan sense, but more like it. The thing I like about all your work is that it seems like there's no barrier between your mind and your hand. It just goes right straight to it. So your work just doesn't it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like you second guessed any of it. It just feels like you went for it, and
Yeah.
it feels in a non-egotistical way, by the way, that you trust yourself, which I think is really one of the keys to being a good artist, or just to being I shouldn't even use the word good. It's a key to not quitting.
Yeah.
You can trust yourself and still be self-critical, but you know that you're being true to yourself. So that's what I mean about non-ego. And do you feel, I mean, does that match how you think about your work in your own head? I'm just curious to hear
Yeah.
you talk about it.
Yeah. Honestly, I agree with that completely. yeah, I don't really second guess myself. Not after I've started something like a big project.
Hmm.
My only goal is to, finish it and hopefully have some kind of success from it. But
Right.
even if I didn't, I don't know. I don't really ever get discouraged. I mean, I definitely feel down if something goes bad or if something doesn't, meet my expectations. But
Yeah.
so
Do
far,
you,
I've not.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I've not been discouraged to, like, quit or give up or stop anything, because it's really just, I feel like I'd go crazy if I didn't you know
Right.
do it.
Do you have a story about an experience that was particularly difficult that you kind of got past? I don't, and I'm you don't. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything like that.
I mean, just nothing specific, like getting older and stuff, and not you know people like get regular jobs and have families and stuff, and I think about that kind of stuff, like maybe I could just get like a nice job that I could just have for doing it, make
Hmm.
money, get a mortgage for a house, stuff like that. um
You mean that's,
that's
in terms of that you wish you could do that, but you're
uh,
not.
not necessary. I mean, I know I wouldn't be happy like that, but there's like pressure from, like, my parents or like other people, just seeing like friends and stuff that went to high school with, doing all that kind of stuff, and
Hmm. Yeah.
instead of just doing what I've always done.
Was there an experience with stand up that was particularly difficult where you were like, oh man, this is like I'm really paying some hard dues, and maybe you
I
don't want to share that, but I mean I'm sure we've all been there, right?
Yeah, I was there was one time I got booed off the stage, and
Really?
yeah,
Oh man.
it was so this was probably 2014 again. At the time I was doing a character. I was doing I had a lot of Obama jokes. Like, I love Obama. I'm a big Obama guy, but I had written a lot of
Yeah.
jokes that were supposed to be like a satire of somebody who didn't like Obama.
Right.
So I was at this it was a gay bar, the show was at, and uh I went up and I did a couple jokes, and they started booing me, just like 30,
Wow.
40 people booing me.
Wow.
And the guy hosting the show had to come up and get me off, and he's like, guys, he was just doing a character. And I went outside and I was like, oh my God, like, I thought I thought the jokes I had written were like, they were like silly enough that you'd be like, this guy isn't serious. But people came up and apologized afterwards. They're like, I'm so sorry. I thought you were just up there ranting about Obama.
Right. So, I mean, uh, I mean, I've had something similar happen to me. Maybe it's not as dramatic because when you're an artist and you put your work up on a show,
Right.
your work might get booed, but it's not, I don't think it's as dramatic. But I did have this funny experience once where I was at my own opening, and it was a pretty large opening. There were a lot of people. There's probably maybe 150 people in a gallery, which is a lot in a medium-ish small space.
Yeah.
And it was big enough so people didn't know I was the artist. A lot of people didn't know, and I was just kind of floating around. It's very interesting to overhear people listen or talk about your work, but watch out what you ask for. I overheard somebody say something. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something like, "This guy's a hack." Basically, it's like he thinks he's what is he doing in this gallery? I think anybody could be better. Anyway, man, it was like, and then they looked over at me like I was the viewer. I kind of just nodded and smiled like, yep, and I walked away, man. But so did that experience? Was it rough, or did it just kind of bounce off you? Did it get to
um,
you? I'm
it's
curious.
I mean, it stuck with me. It was like definitely a learning experience, like
Hmm.
doing something that's I mean, people always say like satire's hard to do. So it's made me like think about if I was going to do something in that way. I mean, now, I mean, this year, that was only a few years ago, but to do something like that
Yeah.
now, it would be, the political climate, I feel like, is a lot more tense than it was back in 2014.
Hmm.
So when you do something like that, that could, somebody could react to it.
Yeah.
Not
So
the
how
way
do you
you
think
want
you
it
would
to.
handle it differently? Would you not do the material at all, or would you find a way to do the material and make your position more clear that it's satire?
Probably, yeah. I try. yeah, I think that was my thing. Like I thought I had made it clear, but obviously, the audience was right. I didn't.
Right.
So I would just try to do it in a different way.
How do you think you would do it differently? Do you have an idea of the strategy you would take?
Um, Maybe do something up top, because like my whole thing was I was trying to be a character and like make them believe that I was this person. So maybe
Hmm.
not do it as a character and just do some jokes, or maybe do some jokes up top so people will know my actual political position
Yeah.
and not just think that I'm up there just yelling about stuff.
So, in other words, actually, maybe reveal your true identity. I mean, it's interesting that you say that because one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about this year, because I think we talked a little bit about this, but A, I had COVID earlier this year, and B, I recovered from a really severe depression and anxiety thing. I mean,
Yeah,
less than a year ago, I was suicidal, and I'm not saying this to garner sympathy. I'm grateful that I went through the experience, but in my recovery, I've been really, and I didn't make artwork for 5 years, and I didn't think I was going to ever make it again, but now I'm really into it, and I've always been interested in avant-garde and rebellious personalities of the past. But I have this idea that the new rebel in the art world is not one who destroys things, but one who builds things, who builds new structures.
yeah,
And it's interesting because it relates to what you just said to me in the sense that if you reveal yourself, you win. You really you will get an audience to follow you more, and
hmm
sincerity is really not just a good thing for the world, but I think it's actually an intelligent strategy as an
yeah,
artist. I don't know what you think about that, but I really feel that it's particularly in this day and age, particularly now with COVID, post COVID. I think it's one of the reasons that podcasts are really huge. People just want connection, and
yeah. I agree.
I actually feel like that's one of the things about your stand up. I noticed in your stand up that you're not like, and I mean this in a good way, but you know how Bill Murray walks out and just the look on his face makes you laugh hysterically?
Yeah,
There are people like that. I don't think
yeah,
you're that guy, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think you're an amazingly good writer and your stuff is really funny, but you're not as much of a funny character as much as a thinking character making funny observations.
yeah,
That's and I think that you're one of the more sincere stand-up guys that I've seen in terms of I don't feel like you've like created this persona to try and get laughs. I actually always think you're exactly who you are, and you really do not seem different when I talk to you on video than you do in stand-up. And
yeah.
I think some comics do seem different, like they have a persona, right?
Oh yeah, God, yeah. And
And I,
a lot of them off stage, it's like it's hard to tell who you're talking to. They don't just that's
right.
for a lot of people that just carries over, and they're almost like people say you're on, you can turn it on or turn it off, and a lot of people just it's like it's exhausting for
Yeah.
certain people.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't want to live like that. But I really admire that about you, even though I don't really know you that well or anything. But I definitely admire that about you're just period who you are. And to me, that's pretty courageous. And also, you're not going to get the glamour short term. Maybe that's also what I meant by the slow burn.
Mhm.
It's like I I actually noticed myself laughing about one of your things when I just went with my girlfriend to Starbucks and was watching some of your videos while I was drinking coffee. And a couple of the
What's your
things
Starbucks
what's
drink?
that?
What's your Starbucks drink?
Oh, it's not great. I know that's right. You're a barista. It's just a plain old iced Americano with an extra cup of ice.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's, I think I'm pretty safe.
Yeah, no, mine's either I usually just get iced coffee or cold brew or something.
There
So
you go. All
yeah,
right, man. We're on the same page on that one.
yeah,
Anyway, man, I do appreciate that about your work, and um, it's the same. So another question I have about your president drawings is, I mean, it kind of relates to something we just talked about. Is like, would you be in like if you just had no gallery director and a gallery director said, Alex, here's the wall. You can do anything you want, and we'll pay for it. would you create didactics on the wall to explain your piece, or would you be inclined to just put it up there and make people figure it out, or would you do something in between? I'm
I would
just curious.
I would definitely do the latter. I would, just put it up there and let people figure it out. Because
Yeah.
that's usually my instinct. Like with that show
Hmm.
where they didn't know what I was doing. I definitely prefer to let the audience, figure it out.
Yeah.
Instead of just like putting it all out there, me explaining it.
Why is that? I mean, I would be inclined to do the same thing with your work, but I'm
Hmm.
curious philosophically why you would choose that.
Probably because I think most of my stuff deals with jokes, and then if you explain, you know, enough of it, it kind of just takes the joke part out of it.
Yeah.
Part of a joke is just the joke itself. Not
Right. Yeah.
dissecting it and
Yeah.
um, not explaining why it's funny, just having it there and that's it.
Okay, right. No, I agree. So what about the celebrity drawings? If you did a show of those, I would probably be inclined to have one didactic that explains the project, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe you would. Would you?
I would probably have like some kind of short statement I would
Yeah.
put at the beginning of it. I think that for that one definitely a little something, but
Yeah.
a paragraph just explaining what it is.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, in that case, to me, it seems like the information of the project makes more layers of meaning. You do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there, I was really laughing. I can't remember. There was some of the ones that seemed really great. Which is what is I can't remember which ones I posted. They were so hard to choose because there were so many kind of good ones. But I just posted a few of them. I think there was one oh on the news program there was one of Boomer Esiason, right?
Yeah.
And he actually signed that.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. That was I sent him a drawing of Andy Dalton, who was the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback at the time.
Right. Or what about did you send one to Jerry Seinfeld? I thought there was a Seinfeld one, or maybe you sent it to
I
somebody
did.
else.
I did one to Jason Alexander.
Jason, okay.
Yeah, of Kramer.
Right.
That took a couple. Some of them take a couple years to get back. That one took like 2 years to get back to me.
Right. Or and what about the Chevy Chase one? I thought that you sent something from Vacation, right?
Yeah, that was Christmas Vacation 2. It was like a direct to DVD sequel they released like a decade and a half later. He wasn't even in it. But that was one I was surprised with because I know he can be kind of I don't want to say a jerk because I like him a lot, but people tend to, he's pretty.
Well, I think a lot of these people. I don't know. I'm not a celebrity, so I don't know what it feels like. But I can imagine. I could just imagine there could be a fatigue that sets in. Then you kind of have a crust that you're just going to keep up for everybody. But
Right.
one of the things about your celebrity drawings project that I actually was really thinking about is how it seems like it's about pop culture, but then it really starts to not become about that, or it's like about interactions because it sounds to me, and you told me a little bit about this, but it seems like a lot of the experiences with that you are kind of surprised how willing some of them are to interact with you, even though there's some who aren't. Like,
Right.
oh, they're just people too, or I mean, I'm curious if there's one that surprised you the most in terms of the interaction that you had.
I mean, the one that like is different than all the other ones is I had mentioned it when we talked before, but it was I sent a drawing to Brian McNamee. He's probably, he's not a well-known name, but he was back in the early 2000s when Major League Baseball was like testifying in front of Congress for the whole steroid trial.
Right.
Brian McNamee was one of the people who was testifying, and he was the guy that injected Roger Clemens with steroids.
Right.
And how that happened is they injected into his butt cheek.
Right.
So I looked up Brian McNamee's address and I sent him a drawing of the peach emoji.
Right.
And I sent I was nice, I sent the same letter I sent everybody else, mailed it out. And then when I got it back, it was in like the envelope had been crumbled and stuff. It was like taped with like medical tape. So I was like, this is weird. I thought it just got like damaged in the mail.
Right.
I open it up and I have to dump it out because the drawing had been ripped up into like probably 20 or 25 tiny pieces.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. I really, my first thought was this got destroyed in the mail. Until I started piecing it all back together because I saw something was written on it.
Yeah.
I put it all back together, and he had written "Kiss My" right over top of the peach, which obviously is the ass. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, this guy. I mean, you know, they talk about roid rage. This guy is like, he was not happy. That's like the most. I mean, that's probably the only hostile interaction I've had.
But you have to admit that it's kind of cool that he took the time to actually send it to you. I hope you saved it because that would be amazing.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I taped it all together on like a bigger piece of paper, and that was like one of the ones I'm like, oh my God, like.
I mean, it's very interesting that I mean, it's kind of like a portrait. I don't know. What do you think about this? I mean, have you been surprised at your own reactions to some of these things in all of this?
I mean, I'm the most surprised that it's been as successful as it has been. I definitely thought that, you know, either the addresses wouldn't be accurate, that more celebrities would have like, you know, no fan mail address, no way to send them physical mail, especially now with like everything going online. Like, I'm surprised that, you know, so many people still have like a mailbox that you could actually send something to.
Why do you think it is? Do you have any theories as to why it's as successful as it is?
I mean, I really don't know. Like, I mean, one theory that some people have floated is celebrities might think I'm a kid, like just because of the drawing. And,
really? You don't trust the possibility that there's a human connection that maybe I'm naive.
It might. I mean, obviously, it's because I don't think they think I'm a kid because I write a letter with it and everything. So it's like,
yeah.
I mean, definitely, I think it's you know, people are celebrities are, I guess, a lot nicer, a lot more willing to, you know,
well,
I don't know, make fun of themselves and be a part of it if they get it. But I also don't know if they understand it.
But you know what? Here's one of the things. I mean, I have a few theories. I don't know. I don't even think they're not theories. They're not that well thought out. But just thoughts. I mean, one of my thoughts. Part of it is just as we're talking about it. One of my thoughts is I don't think that your project is as casual as it might seem on the surface. I think. And so I don't know if a typical celebrity is thinking about layers and like conceptual layers like an artist would, but not that they should. Who gives a shit? Actually, that stuff's kind of bullshit anyway. But I do think that your project has more to it that even if somebody's not thinking about it, they might sense that. They might just sense, oh, this is not your typical, please send me an autograph so I can sell it on eBay or whatever, you know?
Right.
Or you're not asking for a selfie. That. You have?
Yeah, like, you know, I feel like they're definitely more likely to, because I've seen different celebrities, they'll make an announcement like, because of people selling my autograph on eBay, I'm no longer going to sign. So I think that's definitely plays in my favor that I send a drawing. That you look at it, you're like, well, this isn't going up on eBay, and you know,
why wouldn't it go? But why wouldn't it go on? Why do you say that?
I mean, if you have just like a glossy 8x10, like. Because I was on like a celebrity fan mail forum, and a lot of the people on there, they'll send out like 4 or 5 things. So it's like, why do you need my autograph 5 times? Like,
I
think if you know, if I putting myself in their head, like, you would be reluctant because it would just be, it would look like they're just trying to make a buck. But with mine, it's like I mean, I
Well,
can write all the letters. So
I mean, that's what I think that's going to what I talked about before in terms of that sincerity to that, you know, and I guess the other thing is that, well, the other thing that occurs to me is that your comedy is not mean-spirited at all. You know, I mean,
yeah,
you know, and I'm not against mean-spirited, um, you know, stuff. I mean, I mean, sure, sometimes it's really hilarious, but I
right.
don't think that you typically really tear anybody. I've never seen you tear anybody down in any of your routines, and so, you know, I think that there's something kind of good natured about what you're doing, and I would guess that people can sense that as well. And I think it's you know, of course, even the letter to the guy who injected Roger Clemens. I mean, come on, man. Sending a peach emoji is not, you're not judging him. You're just laughing about the fact that he got his shot in the ass, right? So,
Right.
I you know, if he's got a problem with it, it's his own rage or whatever, you
Yeah.
know? Um,
And there's, I mean,
so,
there's been definitely celebrities that, there's, people I don't personally like, people like, especially political figures, Lindsey Graham, Jeb Bush. So, when I'm trying to send something to somebody that I don't even, I don't agree with and don't really respect or something, like, I
yeah.
still just try to make something silly. Like I sent to Lindsey Graham a box of Teddy Grahams.
Did he respond?
Yeah, he signed it.
He did.
Yeah.
Did have any of the political people responded with a actual note or any opinion about your project, or has anybody talked about the project itself, or not? Probably not.
One celebrity did. His name is what's his name? Josh. Hold on, I'll look it up. He was in the show Silicon Valley
Oh yeah. Okay.
on HBO.
Yeah.
He wrote like a little note on it about, like, I guess, I don't know if he like looked up my Instagram. Shoot, hold on. I can never remember his name. Josh Brenner. Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know who that is.
He played
That's
Big
cool.
Head on Silicon Valley, but he wrote like a little note. I guess he looked up my Instagram or something. It was like, I think it's really cool you've gotten all these back. And then he said, do you think it has anything to do with you living on Orphanage Road? And,
that's your address.
Yeah,
That's funny, man.
That's the street I live on. That's and I don't know. I mean, I've sent so many out. There might be somebody that, like, oh, this guy, he lives in an orphanage, and
yeah,
that's just what my street's named. And then, but none of the political, like, I sent to Jeb Bush, I sent the hands clapping emoji.
Yeah.
After his iconic "Please clap."
Yeah.
And he wrote funny on it, and then signed it.
I have to say, man, the Bush family seem to have a sense of humor about themselves.
Yeah.
Somebody has a question here. I've never actually had people ask questions, but I think it might be nice to take some questions.
Yeah.
Who's the most surprised, excited to hear from? Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Probably the most excited I've gotten, and it's still my favorite. Last year I got a drawing back from Dr. Fauci.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I did a drawing of The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
I sent it to Dr. Fauci.
Oh, man, that's so good, man. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's definitely my all-time favorite. But I think I got lucky because, like, the day after I mailed it to him, I saw there was a story he was going to be quarantined for like a month. I think he'd been exposed to COVID or something. So he was like already going to be in his house.
Right.
So I just got lucky with the timing. But that's definitely my favorite one.
That's great, man. I mean, it's funny, as we're talking about this, I do think, I wish I had a gallery, dude, because I would fucking show both your bodies of work in a huge space or in two different rooms. I mean, I really think they would be really quite, I mean, maybe I'm a pie in the sky guy, but I actually think they would be pretty emotional in some ways. But I think it could be really quite cool to have a separate little catalog that actually where you actually tell stories of your interactions. So that there's actually a didactic part of the show, but you're not forcing it in the exhibition. But I do think that the human layers of the one-on-one thing,
Hmm.
is really one of the beautiful things about your project, man, because it breaks down this idea. There's all these stereotypes that celebrities are assholes that don't want to talk to anybody, or that fans are obnoxious paparazzi stalking types, which you
Right.
are clearly not, and they are clearly not. That what you know. And
Right.
I guess that's what's cool, is that it just kind of breaks down all the bullshit. And it also reminds me of the fact that since you're not trained by art school and you're not overthinking stuff, that I don't know, it seems like the sincerity thing is really working in your favor, and I think it's really refreshing, man. It's like it kind of gives me hope, even about doing my podcast. Just like, okay, I can just do what I want to do, and by the way, I'm not playing a character at all right now. I'm just if we were sitting at Starbucks having our non-exciting drinks, we'd probably have the same conversation. Which I would love to sit down with you someday. Maybe we'll do another one of these in person.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome.
Um, I'm curious. I don't want to dwell on COVID, but I'm curious how COVID. If you have any observations about you coping with this time. I know we're kind of coming out of it. It really feels to me like things are breaking a little bit, at least here
Yeah.
in LA. But how do you have any thoughts about just that experience and what's coming up in the future?
I mean, definitely things out here are opening up. Like I have, besides tonight, I have like a stand-up show every night this week. But like in regards to last year, like I think I had a little bit different experience because I happened to get sick like right when COVID
Oh yeah,
started.
but not with COVID, right?
Not with COVID. No, I had ulcerative colitis, which is
I'm sorry, man.
yeah, it was similar to Crohn's disease. Like it's an autoimmune disease that affects
Yeah.
people, and they had to take my colon out.
Oh my God.
I was in the hospital like 2 months last year, right in the middle of summer when everything was going on. I had like a colostomy bag for like 6 months.
Wow.
So I'm like, I mean, I consider myself lucky it happened last year because I was able to get on unemployment and benefit from extended unemployment while I heal.
Yeah.
But personally, I feel like I'm coming out of surgery, like a recovery from being sick.
Yeah.
COVID for me, at least personally, is like, because I was going to be inside last year for the most part because it was like a 3-step surgery that I had.
Right.
So I think, from my point of view, it's a little bit different, but also the same because like I would have been inside most of last year and just starting to come back out at this point, even if COVID didn't happen.
Yeah, I see. Well, I'm curious. Well, first of all, man, I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not a huge fan of this work. I don't consider myself a journalist, so I don't have to be objective. I think your work is really, really super strong, and I'm really I would like to see it shown in LA, and I may do what I can to try and make that happen. Though I don't have a ton of connections at the moment, so I can't promise you anything. But I'm definitely going to start showing it to people, and we'll see what happens. But I guess I'm just curious what kind of plans you have for the future, both in terms of stand-up and your drawing practice. Any thoughts you have about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just getting back into things with stand-up. It's it almost feels like everybody's starting from scratch. It's almost like a level playing field now. Like everybody is, when you haven't been on stage that long, you just gotta just like start over and get a few shows under your belt before you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Last year I signed with a literary agent to do a book of my drawings. So I've been working on that.
That's great. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, that was what?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, my first goal was to do like a book of them, and like you had mentioned, like some kind of pamphlet, but like with little stories and stuff. To do with that in like a actual book form. But then also like having a gallery of them is like, those are the two goals I have with that project. And I don't know. I've been trying to think of like a way to end it, but I don't know how. I don't know really how to ever stop it, really, because there's always going to be more celebrities and like.
Well, why do you have to end it though? Why? I guess that's one question I actually have. I don't blame you for if you wanted to end it, but why does? I mean, it's interesting because I read a lot of poetry,
Hmm.
And two of my favorite poets are kind of old school American poets. One of whom is Ezra Pound, and another who is one of his devotees, Charles Olson. And they both worked on these epic poems for like 40 years, which are
Yeah.
made up of small poems. But I mean, really, they were insane projects that most poets would be just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Your whole, it's like, and in some ways they were failures. If you look at them as like complete, like, pieces with resolution,
Right.
but they were beautiful failures if they're failures. And like, I don't know, why couldn't just be part of your practice that is like a daily practice?
Yeah.
And don't you think that in this, do you know the German artist Gerhard Richter by any chance? You've ever heard of
Uh,
him?
no, I don't.
Well, he's an amazing painter, but he also has I'm going to call it a side piece, but it's not a side piece. It's a piece called Atlas, which has been exhibited over the years, but he takes thousands of reference photographs, and he started exhibiting his reference material as its own exhibition, as like an installation. Yeah, like Goethe's Faust. I don't know who HSTOC is, but thank you for helping here. Um, uh, um, so this piece called Atlas is amazing because it gets shown every few years and it keeps growing. And like the dude could fill up a whole fucking museum with just this. It's amazing,
Yeah.
and it's like looking at a diary, except that it's better because it's not edited or self-consciously groomed or cut. It just is this sprawling, but it's also very organized because he's German and they're very good at organization and installing things so that it's not cluttery feeling. So
Yeah.
like I could see this project of yours just never ending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think it could be amazing
Yeah.
if you were up for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, the more I think about it, like, like long term, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm leaning. Like, I think I could just, because it's not, it's like I've gotten the whole system down pat about the whole process with it. So it's like, it would be interesting if there was like, years out, like just seeing different celebrities, like, from different time periods.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the more I think about it, I definitely lean towards it just being a long term, never ending kind of thing.
one of the things I was thinking about that's interesting is that if you know, it would be interesting. I mean, I don't know if this could ever happen, but it would be interesting to get 5 different curators to look at all the same raw material and to see how they would organize it differently. Like one curator might just be like, let's just do the whole thing like this big sprawling thing.
Yeah.
But another curator might do something, for example, like let's do it by 70s, 80s, 90s, aughts, like
Yeah.
group all the celebrities in time and then you would see like you might get this weird cultural barometer of how even those different celebrities respond to you differently. Or it could be categorized by entertainment versus politics. I mean,
Right.
any of those shows would be fascinating, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if you just keep going with it, man, you're going to win the long prize. The slow burn that we talked about at the beginning might just be one of your advantages as an artist if you can keep your focus, which you don't seem to have a problem doing from what I can see, actually.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty good about once I get started on something to keep with it. Like I don't really get distracted or like very much. And I try to limit distractions because it can be easy, like to.
Yeah. How so could you give me an example of how do you mean that
Well,
specifically?
like I used to like when I first started like years ago, I like sold all my video games and I got rid of like I didn't get internet for a
Wow.
while and just tried to, you know, kind of force myself to do it. But then when I felt more confident that I could
Hmm.
handle, these distractions, I got them back because it's hard
Nice.
not to have them.
Right.
But then like I'll like modern currently like I'll go out of the house, go to a coffee shop or something to try to work, and like set dedicated time to, you know because if I'm home and I'm working on something, there's just like so many distractions, my cats or like anything.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I think you really have. I think well, the president project is obviously that's a set shelf life because you're going to finish that.
Right.
But I mean, not to try and put you in a box or anything like that, because I think you're going to do what you want to do. But I do think that you have a propensity for, you know, being able to see through a long I mean, the president's thing is not as big as this other one, but it's pretty big, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done projects like this too myself, so I can kind of relate,
Yeah.
and I wonder if it might be a good thing for you as a visual artist to own that lane a little bit, not exclusively, but like, I don't know, man. There are not that many people who can see through large scale things that take years to do. But
Right.
if you can, like, and I really feel terrible. There's a Chinese performance artist, and I can never fucking remember his name, even though he's one of my favorites. But he's known for doing, maybe someone in the chat knows, I don't know. He's known for doing year-long performances. So, for example, he and this woman performance artist were chained together for an entire year and documented it.
Wow.
He also lived in a jail cell for a year, and he's done several of them and documents them incredibly well. And then the documentation is what's exhibited,
Yeah.
and they are truly amazing in every way, And
Yeah.
I can tell you, in my opinion, if he did the piece one day less than a year, it wouldn't be as strong. The conceptual idea of a whole year,
Right.
and then he does it year after year. It's very emotional. It's very moving that he can see through it.
I wrote that down. I'm gonna try to look it up and see.
You know what? I will. Yeah, you'll find it. I will find the name of it and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that, not that I should. I'm not at all trying to give you advice, by the way. I'm just a fan. But I could see it being. Maybe, now that you're self-aware that you have this tendency, the world might reward you if you own that, and really kind of lean into that, anyway, just a thought. Is there anything that, I'm curious if there's anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important to your identity as an artist? Or, yeah, that's it. Thank you. H stock is like really helping us out today. Oh my God. I'm going to write it down myself because I never can remember the name, even though I show it to my students all the time. Anyway, is there anything that we haven't talked about, or just, I don't know, that seems important that would inform people about who you are as an artist or a comedian or both?
Not particularly. Like, I think just, to get the best idea of me is just, my Instagram page is the best. That's where I share most of my work currently. I think that just gives you a good idea of what I'm about, better than I could explain or say.
Yeah. Well, I think letting your work speak for you is, that's what many artists will always do. So, well, this has been great, man. I thank you so much. I would love to, one of the things that I'm thinking about with my podcast is that, and I know that, this could be a criticism against it, but I kind of think that being a little bit, like, I would love to talk to you again, I don't think I have to have people on only once, I actually think that your work would warrant another conversation as you keep going. And so, although it would be fun to do it in Cincinnati. We talked about, I am going to try and make a trip to the East Coast. I don't know if I can make it out to where you are this year, but, at some point, maybe we could shoot for that. It would be really fun.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to come back to LA again.
I know. Well, so if you ever do come to LA, by the way, man, I'll put you up and we can save some money and we can go to Starbucks and get free coffee with your connection.
That sounds great. Man. That would be awesome, honestly. And I would love to just be on. I would love to be on anytime.
Okay, well, good. Maybe you'll be like Chris Elliott on David Letterman. No, he abused him. I don't want to do that. I'll be Chris Elliott. You can be Dave. You can be Letterman. All right, man. Well, thank you so much. We're almost at I know Instagram cuts you off at an hour, and we're nearly at that point. So I don't want to get cut off. But I am going to go ahead and post this on the trees site as soon as we're done. And I really wish you the best of luck. And I'm definitely a fan. And we will. Thanks a lot, H Stock. Thank you for being here. And we will stay in touch, man. And yeah, we'll talk about doing a second one later, and maybe in the summer or in the fall or something.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate being on. This was
Alex,
fun.
keep up the good work, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks everybody for tuning in. And we actually do have another one coming on Friday. So I will be posting about that. Alex, you take care, man. Thanks to everybody.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.